Hello everyone, I'm recording this video to give you some tools for analyzing images. So now we are going to discuss images not only as just images, but also we are going to call them visual text. So I would like to start this presentation by looking at some concepts and then give you some techniques. So the first two concepts are layout or composition. Layout or composition refer to the arrangement of the objects inside of an image. So as you could see here, for example, we have some trees, there is some grass, a path, also there is a small lake. This is a landscape, right? The arrangement of these objects are placed in different places and in different depths that the image may have. So here is when we talked about these other three concepts: background, midground, and foreground. In the background, in this image, you can see the clouds. So the background is everything that it is in the deepest part of the image. The midground would be the objects which are placed in the middle of this image, and the foreground would be the images the objects that are in the front of the image. In this case, there is one tree which looks pretty much in the front. That would be the foreground. Let's have a look at now some of the techniques. By the way, there are many other techniques. These are some of the techniques that I decided to include, but there are many other more techniques. So we're just going to analyze these techniques. The first ones are the image relationships. So in terms of image relationships, we can say three: juxtaposition, contrast, and focus. In terms of color techniques, we could call colors vivid, murky, bright, pastel, dark, or watery. And the use of light and shadow may give us techniques like bold, stark, gradation, and spotlight. Let's start looking at the first image relationship, juxtaposition. Juxtaposition is when we have two objects in an image that tells us a relationship because of similarity. In this case, we have two people, a girl and a man, and looking at the picture we can immediately associate that this is a father-daughter relationship. Well, in this other case, we also have two people that maybe share an interest in common, which is sports, right? But at the same time, we also could think that they are a couple, so because they are similar, right? Another type of relationship that you could talk about is contrast. Contrast in this case happens between these two objects. This is a church in London, and in the background you can see a corporate building, the Gherkin. So these two images suggest a contrast between modern and old. Another contrast you could see here in this pair of shoes, one very old and the other one brand new, but in this case it's not modern and old. I think the relationship that this is going to establish is between rich and poor, that you can see in this image as well. Rich and poor, again another contrast. Another type of relationship is focus. Now in the previous two image relationships we talked about two objects only. In this case it would be one object on its own or a group of objects. Like in this case, the Eiffel Tower, it's focused because it is in the middle. It's the only object that seems salient in this picture. While in this other picture, this is an albino man surrounded by a group of black men. Stands out because of the color of their skins. Let's now look at the color techniques. So in this picture we could identify vivid colors. What do vivid colors suggest? They may be child's view or strong emotions. So in this case, this comic, as you can see, the colors of the clothes of every person may suggest the emotions that these people are normally having. Murky colors may suggest wrong, dirty, or ordinary. Maybe sometimes this could be also kind of a mysterious thing. In this other comic image, you could see that this murky scene indicates the night because of the lamps that these characters are holding, right? Bright colors. For example, when this is a very bright sunny day in Chicago, indicate energy or newness. Pastel colors. Pastel colors may indicate gentle, dreaminess, or baby. And as you can see, it tends to be an arrangement of light blue, purple, fuchsia, or lilac. Or, as in this other image, light colors like light green or light brown. Dark colors. Dark colors tend to indicate evil, scary, mysterious, or unknown strong emotions. Watery colors. Watery colors rely typically on the technique of watercolor, and they indicate impressionism or emotional. For instance, these images may indicate a sense of nostalgia, for instance. The use of also light and color may have these other techniques. For example, bold. What does bold mean in this case? Well-defined lines or blocks of color. You could see in the picture of Hansel and Gretel, they have very bold colors in their clothes or the hair, right? The next one is stark. Stark, as you can see in this image, means lots of dark and light, a lot of contrast, and maybe sharp angles, which may suggest mysterious. Gradation. The gradation may have different aesthetic effects, and it may be done because of an artistic choice, or because they want to convey something in particular. Like, for example, in this case, our attention is taken to certain part of the image, or in this other one, the mirror in the story of the Snow White is talking. So that's why the gradation of color here also tell us that this point is important. It's something that we must look at. Also, gradation in this other picture gives us a different effect, the one which is a transition from sketch to real, or from drawing to the photograph. So as you can see, gradation can give us many different types of effects. Spotlight. The spotlight literally means this light used in theater to highlight the actors or the people on stage. When we use it on an image, this use of light and shadow normally highlights the importance of an object which has more light than the others. In this case, for example, this man walking through this corridor. Let's then summarize all of the techniques that we have discussed. So the first one that we discussed were the image relationships, the juxtaposition, the contrast, and focus. Remember though that juxtaposition and contrast may not be confused as interchangeable concepts. They are not the same. In one, we have the relationship between objects and we establish a relationship because of similarity. On the other one, we establish a relationship of contrast because they are different, right? Focus may be used when one object is in isolation or when it is surrounded by a group but stands out because of a certain aspect, right? The color techniques, we group them in vivid, murky, bright, pastel, dark, or watery colors, depending on the intention of what they want to communicate. The lighting techniques, remember that was also this combination of using colors and light. We had bold, stark, gradation, and spotlight. Well, I really hope that this summary of techniques for analyzing images has been helpful for you. Remember that there is a assignment linked to this mini lesson, and I wish that everyone is doing right at home and safe. So, goodbye.